I definitely don't think it's worth putting a timing chain into. So I might go to plan B, and that's just to take this whole thing out and drop that bad boy in. Yeah, I don't see any ground straps, which is kind of weird because there were no ground straps on the top of the engine. In fact, the only ground strap on the car was the one that I put on. So, I mean, if that's the case, I'm surprised this thing didn't burn up. Wife's T-Bird broke down while she was driving home from work, and the alternator went out in it, and it's not an easy fix, and it's not a cheap fix either, so
you mustn't be
those menacing, degenerate, rabid looking squirrels are ganged up out there again. And I don't know what to do about it. You know, this used to be a good neighborhood. Yeah, it's like a blood bath down there. Luckily I got floor dry. So the next step is I'm gonna start taking the stuff out of this motor, put them on the motor over there, and then do the old swapperoo. Letting it relieve itself. Pulled the torque converter off. I ended up having to use my impact to get these off. And now I got to take these bolts out, and this flex plate and everything will be transferred over to that engine. The reason why I'm dumping or trying to get all the coolant out, because I'm going to pull this whole timing cover off and transfer that over to that engine as well. And I need to do that because this thing has this weird aftermarket timing cover that uses a special pump. So here's a stock pump for a 302 water pump, and as you can see, it's quite a bit different than the one that engine came with. This one did not come with this cover. The impellers are facing the same direction, so this is a replacement for the earlier 302 like that, but for some reason it's got like this specialized strange water pump, and I don't want to use that because if I break down somewhere, I want to be able to go to O'Reilly's or somewhere and pick up a water pump instead of having to order one off of Jags or Summit or something like that. Gotta tell you guys, I am really getting excited. I can't wait to get this done. Can't wait to drive it. So, flex plate. Now the flex plate only goes on one way. These bolts or bolt holes are spread out in such a pattern that you can't screw it up. So it can only fit one way. Make sure it looks straight to me. The teeth look good. So I would say that's still usable. This is the cover. Ooh, look at that paint. Nice. Now hopefully the key falls into the coolant, because that'll make my day even worse. It's a good thing I decided to swap to the different timing cover, because when I took the old one off, that one, this eccentric here for the fuel pump was just flopping around in there. It wasn't tightened at all. So I torqued this thing down to, I don't know, 45 foot-pounds. I think that's what you're supposed to. I don't know for sure, but whatever. Okay, engine is off the stand. And I have to get this pilot bearing out, because this engine came out of a car that had a 4-speed in it, and I am putting it into a car with the automatic transmission. So this came out of a manly car and it's going into a not so manly automatic. How do I get the pilot bearing out? Well, I'll show you. Get some Kids Choice. Really any flavor of bread will work for this. So if you're not a fan of Kids Choice, you can use whatever. But I start stuffing the bread in there. If you're not a fan of using bread to do this, you can also use grease, but that is extremely messy. Then you want to find a socket, and in this case it's a 7/16. And the socket has to fit perfectly in there, like that. Then well, it needs more bread. Ouch! See, the bearing's popping out. There we go. Pretty cool, huh? That's how you get the pilot bearing out. That's pretty disgusting. I think I'm going to take a minute to clean this stupid thing off. It's pretty nasty. Alright, that's a lot better. Yeah, let's see. I think it goes like this. All right, they got to be torqued at 75 to 85 pounds, so I'm just going to go with 82. So as you can see, I got the timing chain cover on and the water pump. And I found out that the other water pump was actually from a 65-66 Mustang 289 hypo with the aluminum water pump and housing, or timing cover. While researching this, I found out that this engine's actually a 78, and so it has the bigger damper, vibration damper on it with the 4-bolt. That engine over there is a 69, and so that's got the 3-bolt, and so the pulley on that thing is completely different and won't fit on here. So I had to order a pulley, and it should be here in the next couple of days. It's coming from Minnesota. I'm in Minnesota, so hopefully it doesn't take too long. But that pulley will allow me to run this engine in this car, because it's meant for a later 302 V8 being transferred into a 69 like mine. And so I'm just waiting on that, and it'll allow me to run all the original bracketry and all that bullshit too. So can't wait till that gets here. All right, with the engine out, I'm going to go ahead and kind of clean this crap up. There was a rear main leak on the motor that was in here, so that was all full of oil, and oil all over everything. There we go, nice and clean. This here, and I don't think I'm going to bother with this. That is really caked on there. Next we have the transmission cooler line. Somebody did a fix here and it started to leak again, so I'm going to pull this off and replace that. Another thing is, I don't know whether I should take these out and mount them to the engine and then try to drop it in, or try to drop it in on them as they sit. I really don't know what route to go with that. Also, I fixed this, so that's good to go. Okay, it's the fun part. This goes into there. I think I got it lined up close enough to where I can plug it in, and the flywheel should line up to the bolt pattern on the torque converter. Hopefully there isn't a whole lot of problems there. And I am just going to drop it in as is. These are loose, adjustable, I guess. And let's just see how this works out. Don't know what I'm doing. I'm just going to go for it. Hopefully nothing breaks. Oops. So it's been a couple days. I had to walk away from this thing, because sometimes you just got to learn to stop walk away, regroup, and come back. This was a freaking nightmare. First of all, the headers won't clear the shock towers, which I kind of figured it wasn't going to work. So I wasn't really too concerned when they didn't fit, so I had to remove the headers. Then I was having some major issues getting the engine to line up to the transmission. And there was a lot of pulling it out, slamming it back in there. That's what she said. And still wouldn't work. I was still having problems with it. Finally, I get to sit down, and as you can see, it's in there, but it's not in there right. The oil pan is actually sitting on the cross member, and the oil plug is actually jammed up between the pan and the cross member underneath. And that's the way I kind of left it, because I realized I'm gonna have to swap out the oil pan. So today I went to the original motor and I dropped the pan off of this thing. I also figured out why this thing was misfiring suddenly. And it's because I found all these chunks of plastic inside the pan, like a ton of, as you can see, they're everywhere. Well, that came off of these gears, I guess, for the timing chain, because Ford coated the timing chain gears with plastic to kind of quiet it down, and over time that stuff starts to split apart and break, and that's your end result. At least I think that's where this came from. It's kind of odd shaped, so I don't know. It might be from something else, but that's what I'm guessing anyway. Here's the pan I pulled off. I cleaned it out already. It looks mighty fine. I'm not going to paint it. I'm not going to paint anything on this engine. I'm not going to give it the Craigslist rebuild because, one, I don't even know if this engine runs, and it seems like a giant waste of money putting paint on a pig, which I kind of already did with the new water pump and stuff like that, but why waste that much more? And two, look at the car. So I got the engine raised up enough, I think, to get underneath and get at that plug, because otherwise the plug literally sits right on top of the cross member and you just can't access it. So it's plenty away from the cross member. That's if I have the right size wrench. What the fuck size is this? It's the first Ford I ever put in the motor in. I gotta tell you, it's a pain in the butt. The oil in this thing is really clean. So I think this thing might have had a recent oil change, which is kind of a shame because now I gotta empty it all out and drop that pan off. You know, it's days like this where I really wish I had a lift. Okay, well, I'm down to 4 bolts holding that pan, and I don't recommend doing it this way. Just be smarter than me and like make sure you got the right pan on the engine before you put it in the car. Okay, so I got it dropped down, but I gotta figure out how to get it past. I might have to take the damn sway bar out. That sucks. Not sure if you can see it or not, but I got the pan off and it looks really, really good under here. Look how clean that is. I don't think there's a whole lot of miles on this. So there's a difference in pans. This dropout is a lot more shallow than this one, is way longer. And because of that, the pickup for the oil pump would land over here somewhere, and I wouldn't be able to seat the pan down. So I grabbed the pickup from the other engine, and it was full of this black stuff. Those black plastic chunks. You know, it's a good thing I pulled that engine. It probably would have quit on me sooner or later. This is how it's supposed to look. Plenty of room between that pan and the cross member. So much better. Alright, so the next thing I need to do is get the motor mounts installed on both sides. Right now it's just sitting on them, and I also have to tighten down all these bolts, or the nuts for the torque converter, and a couple nuts here for the transmission, and we're done. Alright guys, so I kind of just skipped ahead and put the engine in. Sometimes I just want to get things done, and the camera was slowing me down, and I need to get the car out of the garage. So anyway, I ended up ordering nice headers for it. Well, nice $120 Chinesium headers, but they are pretty cool. They're equal length, or not equal length, but tri-wise. And they fit in there actually pretty nicely. I thought I was going to have to fight them, but no, they went in really nice. Got the 500 CFM Edelbrock on there. All the accessories are on. Got a battery. I have oil. I added 10W30 VR1 into it and topped it off. I had fogged the cylinders plenty of times, so I didn't prime anything. I turned the motor over numerous times by hand and stuff like that. New starter. Let's see. The bottom radiator hose has to go on. I got the mounting bracket for the alternator in the wrong spot and just blocking it. Let's see what else. Aside from that, she's ready to test fire. There's no coolant in it, so I can't run it for too long. I think I got the firing order right. I wired it up for a Ford 351, which is the same as a 302 high output. And the reason doing that is because I believe the cam that is in there is set up for that firing order. If not, we'll find out. I still need to hook up the electric choke, so that's one thing I'm going to have to mess around with. And let's see, what else? Bunch of other little things like that need to be done. But in the meantime, let's see if this thing will fire. Oh my gosh, that was loud.
At least it's not smoke like doing.
Oh man, this thing.
Still smell you.
There's a lot of oil on top of the motor that's burning off right now, but dang, this thing does not smoke. You can tell it has plenty of compression. Holy crap. I think she's a runner. It actually started out pretty easy for sitting for how many years. So I think this engine's good. Too bad the car isn't as good as the engine, but yeah, this is gonna be fun, man. The goal here is, initially my goal was to get this thing running and driving so I can daily it, and since then we ended up getting a van to replace the T-Bird. I sold the Thunderbird and we bought a Honda Odyssey van. So now my wife has something to drive that's reliable, and I have been driving my gray Mustang again. And so this is getting ready, prepared to go up north to a car show, which is about, I don't know, an hour and 20-minute drive or something like that. And yeah, I hope to have the crappiest car at the car show. Can't wait. So next, I need to get all the odds and ends taken care of. Need to get that line that goes there, or there's a hose that runs from here to here. I'm actually going to make one, and then let's see, get that bottom radiator hose connected so I can get some antifreeze in the car, and then take it for its first test drive, which I'm really excited about, and watch it blow up the transmission, because that thing is leaky and crappy and yeah, all that fun stuff. The only thing I have left to do here is I need to put the hose back on that runs from the water pump to the housing here, and it has to be a hose that is like contoured or whatever, like this. You can't just take a piece of heater hose and run it from here to here, because if you do that, it'll kink. So I came up with a solution on how to make my own hose, because it's got to look something like this, right? I mean, this is for the PCV, but see how it's got that curve there? Okay, so this is what I'm going to do. I got my piece of heater hose, and I want to put that nice bend in there. See, if you bend it, it's just going to kink. So I have a spring that will fit right in there. So basically I just take the spring, put it into the pipe. Then I bend to make the contour I like, which is going to be like this. And then I'm just going to take my heat gun, heat it up, and hopefully this heater hose retains the shape after it cools off. Let's crank this baby up. All right, so the first one didn't work at all. I mean, it kind of worked, but it was just not tight enough of a curve. So this time I got a major curve on there. I already got this thing hot, so it's just cooling off right now. So when it's done, hopefully it doesn't try to straighten out too much. And there's the finished product installed. Is it perfect? No. But will it work? I believe so. It is a little narrow where the bend is, but I don't think it's enough to matter. It's not pinched off or anything, so I'm thinking that should work. Okay, so I believe I got everything hooked up, plumbed in, and ready to roll here. Got antifreeze in it. I let it run for a while, let it burp. all the air out of the system. Don't know if I let it go long enough, but let's see. It was running fairly decent, and then it started running like crap. I'm not sure what's going on here, but let's try to take it for a test run anyway. Okay, here goes nothing. Maybe the timing. Yeah, that was quite horrible. It's really slow. Doesn't have shit for power. It's not very fast, that's for sure. But I mean, I think there's a lot of things going on here. I don't know if the timing, I gotta mess around with the timing. I don't know if I got the right vacuum advanced canister on there. I'm not sure if I have. Well, I know I got the wrong carburetor. That's only a 500 CFM. I think that's good for a stock engine, and if this thing's been warmed up at all, I'm pretty sure it's going to want a 600 at least. So that needs to be checked out. No leaks, no smoke or anything, so that's good. But, you know, it runs, it moves under its own power, so that's already a huge win in my book. Will I make it to the car show with this thing? Probably not. The car show is on Sunday, and right now it's Friday. And yeah, I wanted to, but it's not. It's just, I'm just not going to get there with this piece of junk. It runs pretty rough right now. Anyways, thanks for watching. I'm going to continue with this pile of junk. It's not done yet. So I'll see you guys next time. Thanks for watching. So I'll see you guys. I don't know what the hell that was. Thanks for watching. No, I'll see you guys next time. Thanks for watching. Later.